sky. This one here too. Don't let the blonde hair fool you. The hand sign going on with that one there. It's with a 7, doesn't it? Look at this here, clearly. So you see, birds of a feather, they flock together. And all those stories you get beaten up about these people, whether it's Monica Lewinsky with his mate Bill Clinton, or Willie Clinton, or this one, it's all the same, just to build up the idea that the big he-man Trump. Now, as you know, Michael Jackson sang that song, Is It Black or Is It White? You know the idea of the checkerboard or the stripes. And here is an alleged victim, Jessie, which of course relates to the Jesus idea, and here she is having a cocktail out on the harbour, but she's supposed to have been wiped out in the Melbourne hoax. So no one died, no one hurt, of course, but interesting with these stripes, because I'll show you another picture. Yes, Jessie is quite fond of these stripes. As you can see here, she's donning the stripes. But I'll find you another picture. And neatly say, a bit of a girl with faraway eyes going on here too, I might add. And looky, just in the background, we happen to have the stripes. Where is Wally? And golly gee, here's another picture of Jessie, and we have the idea of the stripes. And we also, with this cat here, have the L for an upside down 7 idea joining with this one here. Well, isn't that nice now? Isn't that just very terrific? Yes, Jess and Moo. Moo, you know Moo, don't you? Mark, Moo, all that, and then another Mark, and 22 and 33. So I think you know what's happening here. And these two pictures are interesting. They're like, obviously a different day, different hairstyle day. It was a bad hair day one day or what? But look at the thing around the neck. We know that one, don't we? Just go to my transvestigation videos where I talk about people wearing things around their neck. We know it's often a thing you see, and this photo here has it too, really. Covered up neck idea. The screen there, it's a bit bigger for you. Yeah, it's always covering up the neck, but here's that black and white in every photo bar one. God, this is looking like the Papa TK case. Look at these lips, straight out of Joan Rivers, and look what we have here. Oh, terrible, eh? But not surprising. And our purple theme I'm getting here, look, all purple, nice. Then I came across this here with old Cliff Richard.
So we filmed yesterday around Jerusalem. So we filmed yesterday around Jerusalem. But I didn't want to be part of the show and not come and say hello to all of you, just to let you know that we love you very much. I'm very happy to be here. And this is a special...
Now, I made this video here on Ivanka Trump, and as you can see, the Russia shill man copied it up and got quite a bit more coverage than me. They cut my video down, just like they cut the Ivanka and Donald bed one. He's put a second one up here too, I can see. Laura Lee's got one up there, and this noticed the E300 has one on Eric Trump coming up in the thing. Now I've just noticed a new one here with 9,000. So the topic is around. Oh, he's also 42,000. You really milked that one, didn't you, Russia Bits? How about a nuke hoax video supporting me on the fact that nukes are a hoax and Greenfoot doesn't exist? And I think Spudgy might be waking up. Come on, Spudgy, do a video on how Greenfoot doesn't exist. Well, I started watching this vid by this guy here, Charles Fockhart. And listen, Charles, don't be too influenced by old Russia Vids. He doesn't call it all. Barack Obama is a woman, and so is Donald Trump. And the reverse gender applies to all of them. But Russia Vids will only call the Michelle Obama a tranny and say Ivanka a tranny, but he won't call Donald Trump one. So here, you can hear that here.
She is actually a man. Can you believe it, folks? The United States of America has a homosexual as a president and a man posing as a woman as the first lady, and they're all in the White House.
See, that is only half the story. Sadly, only half the story, and we know that now, and people like this should, step up to the plate and make a new video and get onto the right team. Go and watch my videos, Charles, or Histros Mandel has been doing good videos on this topic. So pretty much other than me, Yahweh Rules has a video here, and I'll just play a little bit because he's got quite a bit of good detail here of how you can identify these people.
These are Donald Trump's kids. The sons are actually girls, and the daughter, Ivanka, is a male. You see that? See, she's got the pointed chin. See her? She's got the square face, square jawline. See? Pointed chin, slender face again. Look at the mouth area, a woman. See? Mouth area, woman. See the mouth area? A man. So these Illuminati families, they switch roles, and they'll turn the girls into boys and the boys into girls, and that's just the way it goes. And they're artificial families, so they're not.
Now, I've done several videos on the whole Trump train, all the family. Like, it's all in the family, and I mean, it's in all these families. It's the Clintons too, and it's the Nixons, and it's the Reagans, and it's the Bushes. It doesn't matter. Just go and look at Barbara Bush for an example. But Laura Lee's done some good work here on Mary McLeod. Imagine this too. This Mary and the Father Christ. Talk about trying to vote the Antichrist idea in spirit. A lot of people believe he is. I believe he's put up to be a scripted nature to do with how they're going to govern the world in the next, whatever. But it's interesting days, that is for sure, whatever you believe.
Sister, and in the satanic circles, they transgender all the children, so they raise the boys as women, girls, and they raise the girls as boys and men. They switch the genders in their worship of the devil, and let's just take a look at that jaw there on that very big-headed mother. And a big head goes with a man head, and what you'll see on these transgenders is a man's head on a woman's body, because they're men who've been transgendered to be made to look like women. So we're just going to check the tranny hive here, in the power elite of the New World Order. Okay, there you see the mother, and do you see how big that head really is proportionally? That is one huge honking head there. And then I want you to look at the boys that are to our left, which would have been on her right as she faces us. And they all have the girl type face. And then up there to our right, that's the one that's supposed to be the girl. What does she look like? She's the one, if you look at the faces, the one in the upper right there that's dressed as a girl, that's the one who has the appearance of a
Just showing you it's nothing new under the sun with this. Look at the serious look there. Hey, that's it. We know this lady here, don't we? Well, what is a spacesuit? A spacesuit is more than clothes that astronauts wear in space. The suit really is a small spacecraft. It protects the astronaut from the dangers of being outside in space. Why do astronauts need spacesuits? Spacesuits help the astronauts in many ways. The suits protect astronauts from getting too hot or cold. Spacesuits also give astronauts oxygen to breathe while they are working in space. The suit holds water to drink. They also keep astronauts from getting hurt by space dust. Space dust may not sound very dangerous, but when it moves faster than a bullet, the dust can hurt someone. The suits even have special gold-lined visors to protect eyes from bright sunlight. Now, doesn't this sound just so well and good? The spacesuits made originally by the Playtex Bra Company, along with Hamilton Sunstream, a famous propeller company. Now, these spacesuits are stitched together. Now, if you know about stitching, it can't be actually airtight. They should be all one piece. No, they're stitched together by these dedicated ladies. In one report, it was 32 stitches per inch. And I heard another one was 64. Interesting numbers, those. Think of the chessboard, 8 times 8. And 32, anyone who follows Jungle Surfer will know all about 32. But it doesn't matter how many stitches they have per inch. A stitch is not a sealed idea. And the spacesuits too, to be flexible, they have to be only so thick. And they're saying they're going to protect you from the space dust. Now, from their science, from what they say about space dust, it is meant to travel, as I said, they're faster than a bullet. In fact, they say it travels many times faster than a bullet. And a little grain, smaller than a sand grain, could go right through you. So how is the spacesuit, the flexible, soft spacesuit, really going to stop a bombardment of space dust? If space dust even exists. Does space even exist? These are the problems. But on their science, they say this, and so they should be able to support that argument that this suit is so tough. But we know the suit just doesn't look that tough. It's flexible. It can't be that tough to be flexible. It has to be thin enough for a human arm to move. The original concept for a spacesuit was actually a bell, a solid thing that you could move around maybe inside. virtually a small spacecraft by itself. But the big problem is the visor. I mean, that's just glass. Glass isn't that strong. Hit a hammer onto some glass and watch it shatter. So there's a lot of problems. Also, the glare that you would encounter in space. Just think of a desert or a high mountain where there's very little protection from the sun and how hot it can get, or the actual brightness, thinking of that more. Now, in that little dome top of glass, the way it is on the spacesuit, your head would just get fried. You couldn't be able to see. Now, I've sent a friend of mine who's a bit really illiterate. He thinks he's very good. He studies everything from NASA and watches lots of Battlestar Galactica and Star Wars. He said, but they're iridium. And I said, mate, I don't care what they are. They're see-through. Now, if they're see-through, a lot of light can come in. Even if they're somewhat tinted, so what? The light here is very, very bright. And you just would be glared out, so you couldn't see a thing. So that in itself is a problem. The flexibility of the suit is a problem because it shows it's inherently weak. And if you get one tear in this suit, you're dead. So it's pretty vital that you don't have a leak in the suit. And as we know, it's stitched. There's all pieces joining it. What are the parts of a spacesuit? It's made up of many parts. Well, they have to be joined. Joins are weak. Glass is weak. So the whole thing is it just doesn't make sense. Not by their science. And then they tell us that the backpack, the wondrous backpack, it supplies all the electricity. It also holds your oxygen. It removes your carbon dioxide. And it has the cooling water that runs through on a inner, what would you call it, like underwear, undergarments. And that's where they cool it. Now, water running through, what if you're in cold? The water would freeze, wouldn't it? And then you couldn't move at all. Or even as the water got colder and colder, it'd start to immobilise you. And if it was really hot, water would boil. So water cooling, to my mind, is just nowhere near good enough. When they did tests in the deserts with these suits, sure, the water cooling was great there, and you can find astronauts talking about that. But the temperatures on a desert aren't the same as you would meet once you're up high and getting in direct sunlight with a very thin atmosphere. I've been in a plane, say, at 30,000 feet, and when the sun was coming up, we had to close all the windows because simply the glare that comes in straight in the windows would just wide out the entire plane and make it very uncomfortable. Yes, it's very, very bright, as you know, when you're up on a mountain like, say, Mount Everest, or any mountain, even above 5,000, 6,000 feet, it gets quite glary. And of course, with the snow, with the white, it reflects the glare, so it's like a double impact. Well, it seems to be pretty white looking out there in space with the cloud-covered Earth. So that would be reflection. And look at the moon, and look how it's a real whiteout in itself. That's what makes me laugh, that people think that you can stand on the moon if the moon is even solid, which many people here doubt. And even if it was solid, it's that bright, you couldn't stand there anyway. Nothing makes much sense when you actually study NASA. And then the corker with these is they have these little rockets attached, so that in case you drift away from the space station, you can hit the little rockets, the thruster jets, I should say, small thruster jets. If an astronaut floated away, as you can see there, and it gets them back, just like in the movies we see this. James Bond, Lost in Space, Star Trek, Star Wars, they all had these little jets on their if you're in a vacuum, I can't see how you get any movement out of a jet, because it works by throwing the weight out and meeting some resistance. Well, there's no resistance in a vacuum, so it will just keep going away. So I can't see that you can actually get any movement out of it. Some people might have some good ideas on that who comment here, but the whole thing just is a real leap of faith, and especially the stitching, and especially the glass, just like on the spaceship itself with their little glass windows. Weak points, like the shuttle with its little glass windows. I mean, glass isn't very strong. We're expected to believe, in this case it is. So it's a real leap of faith. People just don't think about these things. NASA never highlights that idea. And people just swallow it. And have a look there too, the NASA Kids Club. For educators, for students, and the Kids Club. Get them in early. Propaganda them early. And see the spaceship behind him there? This is from Orion. It's about to blast off. And they'll have the same old stitched spacesuits. And they seem to have these overalls sometimes, and sometimes they've got suits on. I want to know where the change room is. How you get changed inside this little room. Look how small it is. And not to mention every image they've been showing us of Orion, and will continue to show over the next few weeks. We're no doubt going to get bombarded with these images, but I can't expect they're going to look real. They've never looked real in the past, so it's going to be very interesting to watch this. Look at the two eyes like Darth Vader. And look inside this. Look at this little clinical look in here. And look at that. Now imagine being in that position for hours and hours of days and whatever they're going to tell us. Whoever's travelling like the moon, it was 2 weeks. I've covered in another video, moon hoax totally proven. Please watch that. Look at that. Does that look comfortable to you? I'd say, go to a dentist chair and lie in there. After an hour, you just want to get out and stretch your legs. Well, here, there's no getting out and stretching your legs. It'd drive you nuts. After a few hours and a day, you would absolutely be ropeable. And look at all this CGI for the instrumentation. I'm going to show you all these instruments. It makes it look important and real. But it's not real. Look at it. It's just a cartoon. How come they can never show us anything that looks real? Look at these little windows that they can look out of here. Imagine the pressure just blowing them out and then you getting sucked back out. That's like it on a plane. This thing is put through incredible stress. It's going to accelerate to speeds, they say, of like 25,000 miles an hour. Now doing a clip of 5, now doing a clip of 8, now doing a clip of 20 as they go up. And it's not just 5, 10, 20, whatever. It's thousands. And they expect us to believe this is the acceleration, and all you've got between you and death is glass and a stitched up spacesuit. And as I said, the spacesuit being flexible shows it's relatively thin, and that thinness is a worry. Look at them here now. Does that look comfortable to you? Would you be happy to be sitting like that for hours? I think not. Came across this video here, and this is by the Mythbuster scum. The Mythbuster scum, the ones who stood up for the moon, as you know, in that Mythbuster show where they disproved the moon hoaxes. Not so much worked against NASA, but worked for NASA. Isn't that interesting? Mythbusters. We thought they would have come in and busted the myth of the moon. But oh no, everything that they said supported NASA. Well, of course it would. I mean, they're on mainstream television. They're not going to bite the hand that feeds it. But all this cooling system is clearly shown in this video, and they all think it's all so wonderful. But anyone with any idea would think, hey, that looks so flimsy, just very uncomfortable for the wearer, and all the seals, it's all in parts. I mean, that's all weakness. That's all weakness. You only need to blow a seal and you're gone. There's actually stitching. And notice the blue and the red. The blue and the red theme on the ends of the arms there. And these guys show you how they put the pants on and then come underneath here and zoom in. And the guy even says it clips together. Clips, another one. Anything that's a clip, I mean, inherently is hard to really seal. And look where the head bit goes on too. And you'll see if you watch the whole video on this sort of Testers or something it's called. It's a breakaway of Mythbusters. This is the one that they just go out and support NASA. It's unbelievable. Red and blue theme everywhere. You can see that clearly. And the odd hand sign. Well, when he's testing this one here and the visors flip over, you can clearly see suddenly turns gold, and they actually have a piece they bring down that's opaque, and the guy says, oh, in case you're really in a lot of sunlight, you know, so you can vary the amount coming in the bubble. But I tell you now, your head would just be glared out, and that little bit of gold visor just wouldn't be good enough for the brightness we're talking. It'd be out of your realm of what you think. And it doesn't matter what you think about the Earth and space in general, one thing's certain. When you look at the sun, you know it's very bright. And the closer you get to it, it's going to be brighter. And if you go up into high realms, it's going to be very bright. And we know this from normal planes. So this little display anyway on the tester show should give you a little bit of an idea on how fake it really is. When these fake Mythbuster people come and supported basically by their show, because people have a lot of trust in Mythbuster. They think these guys are pretty smart. Some of their episodes seem okay, you see, sucks you in, and then they can carry on with the NASA BS. That's probably the reason they even put the show up, just so they can sell some of their BS science while your guard is down. That's basically what it is. They get your guard down. Now look at this. Are you happy with that? And you should hear him try and talk in it. The echo, and he even says to the guy, oh, geez, a lot of echo in here. And the guy says, oh, when all the gases are moving around, the oxygen and that, it will muffle the sound down a bit, you know. And you wouldn't want any of these seals to break. Even as you know, at high altitude, that would be problematic. Just a normal high plane altitude. Yes, I'm afraid NASA never went to the moon. NASA doesn't walk in space the way they say they do. It's impossible. And there's no secret space program. I'm convinced of that. I don't believe in aliens myself. I think there's just been so much hyped up in the movies, and people will now believe anything. I think that's pretty much maybe a lot of the reasoning here. You can get them to believe in one lie, and then it's easy to make them believe in a whole series of lies. Like Pinocchio, the nose just keeps getting bigger. Look, tested. Terrible it is. Absolutely terrible fabrication, and pardon the pun, on the public. And any day now, Orion is going to blast off. In fact, only 2 days away to the big blast of the All-Star Orion. And they'll be wearing these same spacesuits. Because the guy said they haven't changed much in 40 years. I mean, when you're on a good thing, stick to it. When you're on a good hoax, why change the hoax? And I'm sure the ones before had detachable boots. This one, the boots are all one piece. That's interesting in itself. But yes, anything involved with Mythbusters as we know, that in itself, that's busted. Sorry, Mythbusters, but you're the biggest crock of shit show on television. And so you've made NASA look even worse, if that's possible. Well, I think a really important figure to actually look a bit on the transvestigation type scale is Bob, or is it Roberta Dillon? And the other thing, of course, that's a bit strange with Bob Dylan is, has it been the same person? He really does have a series of imagery that it's really hard to really say. You know, people will scream, they'll say, no, he's been the same guy, I know him personally. But I'm afraid what we've discovered in the entertainment industry, things are not what they seem. Now that top one there, which I'm sure with Joan Baez, Joan and all these Jones, Joni Mitchell and Joan Baez, I just think fit in the share category. And Bobby, old Bobby McGee, you know, you can just, I don't need to say, I think if you look really closely and look at the way that mow is, gee, it reminds me of that Lauren Cameron's moustache. Now here's an interesting thing is, Kate Blanchett, I said it was Gwyneth Paltrow, but it's Kate Blanchett that plays Bob Dylan in this movie. There she is there. Now, I think she did do a bit of transvestigation herself. And, you know, it's not surprising for them to go backwards and forwards. Now, this movie was a few years ago, and I saw it when it first came to video because I was at a mate's place up the coast. And there was nothing much better to do, so we got this Bob Dylan video out. And well, I was surprised then about this sort of transgender agenda in it. And now I can see it much more clearly with what we've been discovering. So that's a bit of a clue in the old Dylan transvestigation. So you see her there, and shh, don't tell anyone. Always comes to mind. Now that's supposed to be the